The Nintendo Switch presentation has come and gone, and though the reactions of the system reveal have been mixed, it is understandable that the Switch has resulted in a renewed worldwide interest for Nintendo as a hardware manufacturer and their AAA IPs. But is this enough to say that it will become a global success after its very promising launch on both short and long term? To answer both supporters and critics, we will, over the course of 2 videos, look closer as to why the Switch is a great system with some significant problems based on a few specific criteria. In this video, we will go deeper into what the strengths of the Nintendo Switch are and why these are pushing record pre-orders and what this can say about its probability to become a success from both a financial and quality standpoint.
The biggest asset of the Nintendo Switch is its simplicity. It isn't only a powerful NVIDIA custom Tegra chip-powered console, though we still don't know what the exact specs are. It is probably the most powerful handheld ever made. And this is what immediately sets the Switch apart from its competition. It's a competent system that has one key gimmick. Thanks to its use of tiny but spacious cartridges, the fact that the console is also a portable system with a screen of its own that weighs barely 300 grams and comes with 2 easily detachable controllers, you have a system where you get the full power of a modern-day console while docked, and the convenience of bringing your own console games with you wherever and whenever you want, with near home console quality.
The Nintendo Switch is region-free. When Nintendo's president Tatsumi Kimishima announced this, we and the rest of the world screamed out with joy. Finally, after countless generations of pointlessly locked consoles, Nintendo realized their mistake and the potential that a region-free system offers for gamers and third-party developers. For the first time, we can finally get to try out Japanese exclusives such as Dragon Quest or other IPs that never or take time to come out in Europe and America. We all remember the controversy surrounding Xenoblade Chronicles and X or Fire Emblem. Luckily, no more of these shenanigans for us gamers. However, more importantly, a region-free system offers a much easier platform to distribute third-party content for established developers and indie developers. In other words, good to see Nintendo following after PlayStation and Xbox in this regard.
Switch does what PS4 and Xbox One don't. Yeah, I regret saying that. But with that being said, it is true, since the Nintendo Switch is a home console and it's also a proper portable. Now hear me out, as we all know the battery life of the system depends on its use, and while it can go undocked for up to 6 hours on one battery charge when using some non-gaming related apps, the more realistic number is about 3 to 4 hours for normal games, and 2.5 to 3 hours when playing big heavy games such as The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
But for comparison's sake, how long can you play big 3DS games such as A Link Between Worlds or Pokemon Sun and Moon on one charge? 3 to 5 hours. In other words, the difference will not be as noticeable unless you are on a long intercontinental trip. And even then, this thing has an ultra-fast USB-C connector, so you can charge it up in no time when needed. In other words, the Nintendo Switch is not only a powerful console when docked, but with its mere 300 grams of weight, also a proper handheld in 90% of all instances.
PS4 had Knack, Xbox One had Forza 5, and the Switch has The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for its launch. Ha! This one really speaks for itself. There is no better way to launch a Nintendo system than offer you the definitive and ultimate version of your next generation installment, with a more stable frame rate, realistic particle effects, better draw distance, anti-aliasing, improved loading times thanks to the game running off of a cartridge, and no game install. Seriously, how does this little thing store such a great adventure for the price of $60 American? Words do not describe the hype we feel for this installment, as it will move Switches like hotcakes. The only regret from us is that this upcoming masterpiece does not come in a specific Breath of the Wild Switch bundle with a custom design, the Master Edition, and so on. Looks like we will have to settle with the next best thing. But even though The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a crucial part of the Nintendo Switch, there is more on the line in 2017 and beyond.
The Switch launch day may not be that extraordinary in terms of game variety like that masterpiece 1-2 Switch, but that definitely cannot be said about the first and second party lineup for the whole year. Since from April to the holiday season, the big hitters and anticipated sequels are coming one after another. First out, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, followed by the new and promising IP ARMS that take advantage of the Joy-Con motion controls, which we'll soon get back to. Later on, we continue with Splatoon 2, Fire Emblem Warriors possibly, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, until Mario takes the big plunge in the holiday season with the awe-inspiring Super Mario Odyssey, where New York, nope, New Donk City, yeah, appears to be this installment's hub world.
The Wii U has been confirmed by Nintendo to be dead after the launch of Breath of the Wild. But what we really want to see is the death of the 3DS at the same time next year. You may ask why. For one, the 3DS will be 8 years old next year, and more importantly, the Switch needs all the support it can get from Nintendo's development studios.
This means that the next mainline Pokemon, Animal Crossing, and Fire Emblem must come to the Switch and not the 3DS. It's time to move on, and apparently after a remake of Fire Emblem 2 and Fire Emblem Warriors this year on the 3DS, Nintendo is launching the next mainline Fire Emblem in 2018 on the Nintendo Switch. If the Switch manages to surpass its sales goals by E3, we are pretty sure that the 3DS will be history by the same time this year, and hopefully so, as we need all IPs from Zelda, Mario, Donkey Kong, Metroid, Pokemon, Super Smash Bros., Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, Splatoon, Star Fox, Pikmin, Kirby, Fire Emblem, Xenoblade, etc. on one system, the Nintendo Switch. Let us hope the merge of Nintendo EAD and EPD to SPD is a sign of a one-console strategy, in particular since it offers more controller options than any Nintendo systems to date.
The controller options for the Switch are impressive. After all, the included Joy-Con can be played in so many different ways, such as clicked onto the console, attached to the Joy-Con grip, alone, or as a super tiny controller for those intense, Mario Kart 8 battles. The Joy-Con has a lot to it, such as NFC reader for amiibos, IR pointer, HD rumble motion controls for immersion like you've never seen before, though it is kind of a joke in 1-2 Switch, especially with some of these minigames. Where it really counts though, is that you can play with more than one controller, and it really comes down to the beautifully crafted Switch Pro controller. It may have digital triggers, but in return, it has built-in NFC reader for all of our amiibos, integrated gyroscope, and most importantly, can be played both in docked and undocked mode. The only problem is that this classic game controller does not come bundled and instead has to be bought as an accessory. Which brings us over to my video, where I go over some of the problems and concerns we have about the Nintendo Switch.